DeFi is really just an acronym, right, for decentralized finance. And it's, in a sense, it's mimicking real life finance, but on the blockchain, right? So it really, like, technically, it kind of refers to open source, which is just original code that can be modified and redistributed, financial software that pretty much just operates, like, for all intents and purposes, independently, on a blockchain network that anybody, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, doesn't matter what your zip code is, it doesn't matter how wealthy you are, anybody that has an internet connection, that you can, get basic access to financial services, such as borrowing and lending and investing without the need for a financial intermediary. Right. So it's not centralized. And you could also, I guess, in a sense, say, in trying to keep it simple, it's really an umbrella term for peer-to-peer financial services on these public blockchains, and primarily Ethereum. Right. So there's Bitcoin, and then there's Ethereum. So at the end of the day, too, DeFi seeks to build a better financial world, made possible by the advent of the internet and really blockchain technology in general. So we've talked about this already on the show. Blockchain, right, technology and decentralization are a huge part of what Web 3.0 is now and what it's going to be into the future. And this could bring us into a whole thing about traditional finance, but I don't know if you want to go there.
I would. And, I just want to pepper it in there because I know the people listening are like big Rich Dad fans, just as I am and have been with for a long time. And everybody knows Rich Dad is all about cash flow. And I will tell you, the DeFi space is my point of study, and DeFi is where a lot of the cash flow in the crypto world is happening. But yeah, that's like, I would like to know, like, what is the difference between like traditional finance and this decentralized version of it? Like, why is this one possibly better than this one?
Yeah, so banks are really, they're vital parts of the moving machine that we would say is our financial industry, right? They enable money to move around the world by providing, value transfer services, whether it's depositing money, withdrawing, transfers, extending credit lines, loans, and more. But at the end of the day, too, however, banks, they're managed by humans, and they're really governed by policies that are prone to human-related risks, such as mismanagement and corruption. And in some cases, it could really be ubiquitous. It could be widespread. And they are so large that the total market capitalization of, the top 10 banks in the world is roughly $2 trillion. And I think this was amplified, or we saw it exemplified with what happened in 2008. And you saw the global financial crisis that, the excessive risk that was taken by banks and governments really forced to make these massive bailouts of the banks. And it kind of exposed the shortcomings of the traditional finance system and highlighted a need for it to be rectified and for things to really be done better. It's really well known, right, that the U.S. financial system is siloed, and it's really designed to sustain high switching costs. And what do I mean by that? I mean, moving money from one institution to another can be, unduly lengthy, and complicated. So, for example, I don't know, a wire transfer, right? A wire transfer is going to take you, on average, maybe 3 days to complete. And then that's not even factoring in the lack of transparency. So as a bank, you go to a bank as a customer, you really have very little information on the financial health of the bank in which you're banking. And instead, you really have to place your faith in the limited government protection of FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corp, insurance on your deposits. So I think that's where DeFi comes into play and why it's so attractive.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see DeFi interfering with things like the Fed, right? I mean, it stops quantitative easing and tampering and all the other little just levers that these guys pull that sort of mess with the economy, right? To sort of prop it up falsely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's why you see so many people that are interested in learning about it, and it's extremely early, and we can get into some of that stuff. But I just love the possibilities. I love the potential for what this offers us for really, in essence, maybe a better financial foundation or a better financial future to look forward to.
Well, that leads to a question that I have then, can you explain the ways that you think that DeFi and blockchain can actually solve problems and, I guess, pave the way for a better financial future?
Yeah. So, again, and I alluded to this just a minute ago, but if you're trying to send funds to, like, say, a bank or a person in another country, it's Australia or Greece, pick wherever you want. Transactions involving banks take days to complete, and then there are all the transaction fees, right, on top of it. So yes. If I'm sending money to another person, right, the exchange rate from my bank, the international outbound and inbound, right, fees. So DeFi, through using cryptocurrency, can eradicate, not get rid of, not all of it, but a lot of these, what I would say, are just absolutely ridiculous fees. And these transfers on the blockchain, right? Which, again, if you're like, what the heck is this guy talking about? I want you to think about blockchain as a transparent ledger, right? That everyone can see. Think of kind of an Excel spreadsheet, right? And everyone can see that there's transparency, and transactions will take much less time. And the fees that are associated, they're minuscule, man, in comparison to traditional finance.
Yeah, and I want to note something there. Unlike traditional finance, those fees and all that money goes back to the top to the bank. Right. In crypto, all those fees or gas or whatever you want to call it, transactional fees, they actually go back to support the protocol, not to the people that built it.
Love it, man.
Which I think is a massive difference, right? Like it's almost anti-corruption to beast than feed the people that built the beast. So there's a huge delineation there, I think, between the two.
Well said, man. And I think for us, like, we both live in the United States, so we have access to banks and the services they offer, right? So if we want to open an account, you want to take out a loan, etc. I don't know if you know this, but there's roughly 1.6 billion people on this planet that are unbanked. So if you look at, like, developing nations, man, it's very challenging. It's arduous for people to secure loans and to operate in the world of really internet commerce. So, I see stuff like that. DeFi offers people, man, who are bankless an opportunity to make financial transactions without being verified by traditional banks. So no longer decentralized finance are these centralized institutions, are they really needed for basic financial actions? So in essence, you are your own bank, and you can get credit on a blockchain, all without the hassle of dealing with a centralized financial institution.